All right, so moving on to our next conversation, we're going to be talking about Disney and their D23 expo and looking at kind of all the news and information that we can at least talk about.
Probably not all the news, but just the stuff that
that's
particularly interesting.
All the stuff that, like, whether you're looking at some of the trailers they released, just some of the general kind of news.
Yeah, we'll look at the big stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, we can run through the list if you guys want, or if there's something new specifically.
At the top. Start with the big one.
All right, well, let's just go straight to Star Wars. I think that's what we want to talk about. I think that was kind of the biggest thing. So we got a new stuff with like just kind of the news we kind of can briefly brush over. We've got like a release date for the Clone Wars Season 7, which I'm excited for, which is February 2020.
I'm relatively excited for. I've watched most of the Clone Wars. I haven't watched all of it though.
Yeah.
So,
I've seen like half of Season 1, so I can't really speak to that.
Fair enough.
Which you got to get into watching because it is incredible.
I know. If we are going to talk about it on the podcast, I will definitely give it a watch.
Easy on.
You better watch it.
There was also the kind of news, like it was made official that Ewan McGregor is back as Obi-Wan.
It's a solid move. Yeah.
I'm keen.
I actually wonder how long this has been in development for, because like for a good amount of years, it all like press junkets and whatnot, Ewan McGregor's always been like, I'd love to come back, and he like even addressed that in when he was brought on stage at D23. I don't know if you watched like the video they released, but yeah, such good news. Like I'm super excited, especially as a very big prequel fan myself. Yeah, I'm very excited.
As a company decision, I think that's a really great idea for them to do, because I think the one thing that unites a Star Wars fan base is Ewan McGregor, and I think they need that out of the most at the moment with the Star Wars fan base divided. So
here's a question actually. Are you guys happier seeing that he's getting a series, or would you have preferred just an individual movie?
I actually think a series would.
I reckon a series would be
obviously Disney are throwing money at their series, so like I think that it's going to have a high production value. He's going to get the chance to flesh out the character.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, I don't know whether it's within the canon or not, but you hear, like, a lot about his story between the Jedi falling, him dropping Luke and Leia off at their respective, families to grow up with, and then where you see him in episode 4.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's the Clone Wars where he does fight Darth Maul at some point, and I feel like
it's actually in Rebels where we really see their competition come to a head. So
I think that just exploring that like chapter of his life is going to be really interesting.
I really hope they don't go with a generic sort of like him like saving. You know what I mean? Like I really hope it's like him being hunted by the Empire or something like really like non-Star Warsy. Like I hope that he's like, not just swing his lightsaber around.
I think that
they bring in some aspect of guess what? There's another Sith with a lightsaber and they're gonna fight. I really hope there's nothing like that.
Well, I think that Disney really has set themselves up pretty well in terms of their like Star Wars series. So you've got obviously The Mandalorian. You got the Obi-Wan series, but you've also got the Cassian Andor and K2SO series, which is obviously the Rogue One characters. I don't know if you...
Oh, right. Yeah.
So basically they're doing obviously a bounty hunting series, a series about a Jedi, and a series that's like a spy series. Yeah. So they've got very different genres. So obviously they've got very different styles of shows they're really going to make. So they're going to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, fair.
I think between the three of them.
Yeah.
When you see Obi-Wan in episode 4, his character has changed a lot into this very meditative, like reserved, very like think and plan before acting. So I think that like whatever they do in this series, it needs to be transitioning him into that character to kind of keep the canon intact. So I don't think it'll be like a lightsaber just fest where
I really hope it isn't. Like I've seen a couple of I don't know if you guys have seen it, but video essays on Obi-Wan and how he has like PTSD and sort of the stuff that he went through. I really hope it sort of like not feeds into it, but like as you said, it conveys his character into how he was at the start of New Hope. So
for sure.
I think so.
I'm very excited for
I'm keen.
McGregor.
Yeah, I
Super
love Ewan
excited.
McGregor. And he did such a good job in the prequels. So
I mean, he was, I think, one of the only actors that really actually elevated the material he was given, because the scripts weren't great for the prequels. And a lot of actors, even Samuel L. Jackson really struggled to get his lines across well in that film, in those films. So I think he did a great job in those movies.
Yeah, definitely.
before we get to the Mandalorian, I just wanted to like quickly brush on the episode 9 poster that they released.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about it? It's very sort of simple.
I like it. It's the style of it. It's really different to what Star Wars posters are normally like, so I really like it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of a little bit of a I'm just looking at the one we've got up there.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like the Return of the Jedi poster. Is the Return of the Jedi the one that has Luke and Vader fighting in the bottom and then
I don't think so.
face over the top?
I think all of the originals were similar to that one up
really?
there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They all had sort of like characters in the background and the set pieces and everything. And even the prequels are like that. I think this is the first like official poster that hasn't had that type of like, because I remember even in The Last Jedi it was similar to that, the original style, and this is the first one that hasn't had like all the main characters in the background and then like, you know, like with Empire it's got like the Cloud City in the background and everything. It's like the first poster that's been solely focused on these two characters. So
it kind of reminds me a little bit as well of episode 3's poster when like Anakin and Luke fighting on Mustafar.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
that wasn't the I don't think that was the official first poster though.
No, but I'm just saying that their final poster, like the way that they've got the characters dueling in the Rise of Skywalker poster reminds me of that Revenge of the Sith poster.
I have to say I'm one of the people that I didn't like The Last Jedi. I don't know if you guys. I think you guys both liked The Last Jedi.
I reckon we'll get into this.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but I'm just saying that I have a lot of faith in J.J. Abrams, and I'm actually very excited for this film.
Yeah, I'm interested in what happens. We'll talk about that at another point because I honestly believe that Last Jedi was top 3 Star Wars movies ever made. So, yeah. We'll
get to that.
We have to dedicate a video to that at some point.
Absolutely.
But it definitely has excited me more. Just the fact that like we're at that point where like it's on its way, like it's within reaching distance. They're starting to like drop kind of more.
I think like when you look at Star Wars in general, like I think we're hitting a really high peak at the moment because we're heading into basically when you look at November and December, we've literally got a video game coming in Fallen Order, which looks, as far as I'm concerned, it looks really good.
Yeah.
You've got The Mandalorian dropping in November as well, and then you've got in December Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So 3 really highly anticipated kind of Star Wars projects.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Disney have figured out what they need to do now because they did The Force Awakens, they did Solo, they did Rogue One, and then The Last Jedi came out, and
they did Solo last.
Yeah, they weren't making, or I think they were making less money than they thought, or even actually losing money in like.
Well, I think they just really struggled to find the balance that they needed to between doing because like they literally had to look at the original trilogy, which is what people love, the prequel trilogy, which people didn't like and people have loved over time, and then the sequel trilogy, which is like going back to what the original trilogy did. So they're trying to find a balance between the original trilogy kind of style and doing their own thing. And I think it's taken them a while to get there, but I think they're starting to find their feet.
The thing that really frustrates me with this whole Disney and Star Wars, and there's a lot of people that are just like, oh, Disney should never have bought Star Wars, they should have just left it alone, and there's a lot of people that think that, and there's a lot of people that are happy that they're just even getting new Star Wars content. I think the main issue was that the content that fans wanted was already there with like the Old Republic and sort of like the expanded thing, and Disney decided when they bought Star Wars that they were going to make their own thing. And I think that was their problem at the start.
Right.
And now that they've finally understood their problem and what's happening and why the fan base isn't responding well to it, now they're bringing out the content that they realize the fans want in like the Ewan McGregor series, The Mandalorian.
It's the type of thing though where I so strongly believe that by pandering to your audience, by giving people what they want when they ask for it, you are sacrificing kind of the creative integrity of the people.
Absolutely.
But that's why
I don't disagree with you there. I completely understand in which the direction in Disney were taking.
Yeah.
But if they wanted to make that the way, like the money making way, then it was already there for them, and they chose to not go that direction.
But we'll see with Rise of Skywalker in particular, because I'm hoping that J.J. Abrams finds a way to do things that are going to be very like fan servicey, but finds a way to make a story that's still very interesting and very different that follows
episode 9.
We'll see. Like it's going to be there's a lot hanging in the balance here because it's literally like the final film that they've said is going to be a part of this like massive series that, what's this, like 3 decades?
Yeah.
4 decades now?
It'll be 5 decades. Well, what? The
70s.
New Hope,
70s. Yeah.
5 decades.
So,
yeah.
Big story.
Yeah, and you're not going to please everybody. There's this movie, I guarantee it's going to come out and there's going to be a massive portion of the fan base that are going to dislike it.
I don't think it will be as divided as The Last Jedi, though. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was kind of collectively on the same page after The Force Awakens. Like, everyone was like, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't great. But then I feel like it was The Last Jedi that
there was
the
a
one that
massive
really
subset
split.
of the fan base that were really upset about The Force Awakens as well.
I was in Star Wars groups on Facebook and stuff, and I didn't see that at all. You know, like, I didn't see the division like it was with The Last Jedi. I felt like, there were some fans that were a little bit divided. I feel like it might have been like 80% of
it was a more
fans liked it,
group.
and then 20% didn't like it. Whereas now I feel like The Last Jedi is literally split at like 50-50.
But I honestly think it's a good thing. Like, shake it up a little bit. And don't give the fans what they want or what they expect, because what's the fucking point? If people are like, well, what I wanted to happen didn't happen, and it's like, good, then what's the point in paying for a movie ticket?
I completely agree with you, but my opinion of The Last Jedi was they executed it horribly. But anyway, as I said, we'll get into The Last Jedi another time. I think we should move on to Mandalorian.
Right. Let's talk about The Mandalorian, because that was kind of the big thing for Star Wars. They obviously have shown a lot of kind of content. I think it was
they've stacked the cast, the directors.
I was going to say that the Comic-Con was when they started showing footage to like the people at the conventions, but we didn't actually get our first official kind of look at the show until D23. So do you want to start off? Kind of, you want to say something about it?
I'm so on board with this. Something that doesn't explore the mythology of the Jedi. Something that explores just like, once again, just deepening the mythology of the universe by seeing like the Mandalorians are obviously a faction that we've seen represented through Boba Fett and Jango Fett, but not really have been given any attention in the mainstream like version, like the properties that we've seen in movies and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do in exploring that, and by extension, exploring past good versus evil. Sith, Jedi, like, the world is not that simple. Let's start to look at like the grey area present within.
This is why you should actually really watch the Clone Wars.
But and it's another reason why I liked Return of the.
I just want to touch on with what you said about Boba and Jango. They weren't Mandalorians, were they? They just wore Mandalorian armor. I'm fairly sure. Was it in the Clone Wars that they said that what's her face said that Jango Fett wasn't even a Mandalorian? And
it might have been. I can't honestly remember. But
so it was only really his armor that you kind of saw the Mandalorians in the original. Whereas they're touched on quite a lot in the Clone Wars. But it's
still following them as like bounty hunters in particular. Like that's what the show's still following, and like it's still what they did as a profession in the.
And I love Jon Favreau. Like I mean, I know it was maybe a slight misstep with The Lion King, but in general, every movie that he's brought out that I've watched,
it was a misstep, but like that's what Disney wanted to do with The Lion King, and I think Favreau did direct the film as well as he could have honestly directed it. To be honest,
the question becomes, how much are Disney going to be like, no, you can't do that. No, we don't want this to happen. No, this doesn't represent like Disney in the way that we want it represented.
I feel pretty confident though when you look at The Last Jedi, how willing they were to take a step and do something very different. I think that they're giving him enough kind of creative leeway.
Do they do that again given the backlash is the question that I have. Like,
that the difference for me in that is that the difference between the two directors, you know, like the backlash, given the backlash of The Last Jedi, yes, but I feel like it was the difference between what Rian Johnson would produce as what his entire creative control is and what Jon Favreau will produce as his entire creative control. Two completely different things.
So the Mandalorian trailer, what did you guys think about it? It was a pretty short, pretty brief trailer, but it still gave you kind of a good look at what the show is going to be about, what it visually is going to look like. What do you think?
I'm really keen. I'm super excited. I love the Mandalorians, especially in the Clone Wars. That was like my favorite aspect of of the Clone Wars TV show, and I'm keen to see that more explored in this TV show. One of my favorite Star Wars games as well was Star Wars Bounty Hunter, where it's like sort of a prequel to like Jango Fett in the Clone Wars before he meets and does all the clone stuff. And
I do remember playing that myself.
That was, for me, a really great Star Wars game. And I hope that we get to see that sort of typical bounty hunter type stuff in this show.
I mean, they teased it in the actual trailer that we actually get to see him actually performing some bounty hunting, like on some targets, like in the show. So I'm hoping we get to see that kind of expanded and him actually going to different planets and doing that kind of thing.
I'm really keen for Pedro Pascal as well. In Game of Thrones and Narcos are amazing.
He's a good actor.
He wasn't too great in The Kingsman, though.
Are you serious? So. He was really good in Kingsman.
I didn't think it was that great.
But then again, I still really like Kingsman: The Golden Circle. That's
that's fair. I didn't think it was that great, but in Game of Thrones and Narcos for sure.
He's been sold in basically every project he's jumped aboard.
This is the franchise that Disney are really stacking right now in terms of like talent, both from directing and acting, and you can tell like the budget is real high. All the effects look practical at the moment, like from what I've seen. Like
it's gonna
that
be probably
robot in the trailer looked like way too like present to be a CGI robot. I'm not sure,
but that's the one thing I do appreciate about Disney's approach to Star Wars. Has never been, hey, let's just make it visual effects heavy. Like they've been like, let's make a combination of visual effects to enhance the story and then use practical effects otherwise.
They were like vocally, like the fan base was vocally against how much Lucas used special effects in the prequel trilogy.
That's true.
So I think maybe like they can see the potholes in the road and they know what people want and don't want from Star Wars. It's got a very, like the original trilogy have a very specific style that you can't replicate. Well, it's very hard to replicate digitally.
And that's one thing as well. They've, like, even in this trailer as well, they've really replicated that kind of look. Because the original trilogy is a very dirty, very sort of run down sort of look to it. And I think they nailed that absolutely in the trailer.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's one of the shows that are streaming on day one on Disney Plus. It's going to be probably their biggest draw to the service, I think.
I'm actually really excited as well because again, I'm a fan of the Clone Wars and what Dave Filoni had done with the Clone Wars. And he's actually moving into, because he gets to direct at least a couple episodes of The Mandalorian, which I'm really excited to see what he does with those, because I think he's like going forward could be a really good creative voice in the Star Wars sort of in terms of creating new content.
Do you think that Disney will be looking at these directors really closely with each episode of The Mandalorian, or
what do you mean,
like in terms of like stepping them up to direct an actual Star Wars film in the future, possibly? Like there's so many different directors on this project that they could be do you know what I mean?
Scouting
that, though?
Potential.
Yeah. And this is interesting because they've really done a good job of finding directors that are both talented, that know really what they're doing, and then kind of new time directors, so they're kind of giving a bit of a mixture. So you obviously got Jon Favreau, a really experienced filmmaker, kind of headlining it, and then he's got Dave Filoni kind of under him, sort of working alongside him, and he's directing a few episodes. And you've even got like Bryce Dallas Howard, who's, I think she's only made a couple of short films before, but then you've got them alongside like Taika Waititi. So then we've got someone like him who really knows what he's doing in terms of making films. You've got that like level of talent. I think they're really kind of finding a way to diversify it enough, but also, you know, make sure it's still within.
That's what I mean when they're looking like for directors for like a big budget film.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they've already got, obviously, Favreau is directing for Disney. Like he's done 2 films now. Taika Waititi is directing at least the next Thor film, having directed Thor Ragnarok.
So obviously they like to find people that they can
work well with. Yeah. So, and I think this will be like it'll be a good transition actually into Disney original content, because obviously Disney, this platform is them challenging kind of mainstream cinema, because like The Mandalorian would have made them a good box office as a film, but they're instead putting it on a series along with So there's a couple of shows that are releasing on.
I think Disney Plus is really proof now of like their asserting control over like the marketplace, and like them dominating like the amount of kind of content that they're producing and the quality and level of content.
Well, there's one thing about the Disney Plus that I was a little bit unsure about. They're releasing their TV shows in weekly segments, not dropping it all at once, similar to what
it's actually not a bad idea though.
I don't know if that's an idea that they don't want people to sit there and binge watch the entire show in one go, or is that the idea that Disney are like, if we release 10 episodes, people have to subscribe for over 2 months, you know, like
that's definitely it.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing.
No, I know it's not a bad thing. I don't know if I'm on board with the release thing.
Yeah, I think I remember because I watch a YouTuber named John Campier, and I remember watching one of his videos, and I mean, he does some really good content. But he talked about how it's a better idea to release your videos weekly, kind of like your each episode weekly, because it kind of creates a longer engagement. So like people are going to keep coming back to the platform, because like Netflix drops it instantly, and like it makes sense to me when he said that, because I was like, that totally makes sense, because if you drop it instantly, you watch it within 3 days, you're like, cool, done.
And then you talk about it once about everything.
I guess, you're done with it. I do agree with you now that you've said that, because I know that when Game of Thrones comes out, I always go to like the Reddit discussion and read through it, and people are discussing that episode
a lot of speculation
for a whole week.
So
okay, that makes sense. You've changed my opinion. There you go.
No, I'm definitely on board, and the price point, at least in Australia, in comparison to other services we have, is really low. Like,
how much is it?
$9.99 per month.
I am really curious though whether it's going to be a case of them bumping it up after so much time.
Well, I don't know whether $9.99 is for one screen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I think wasn't there some news about them kind of controlling kind of account sharing or something like that?
Potentially, I'm not sure.
Might have been. Yeah.
But I think that
in terms of talking about Disney Plus, we should probably talk about like some of the stuff they're kind of putting on there for kind of the range of audiences as well, because there's got a lot of stuff that they're dropping on there pretty much with launch.
Yep.
So like, because you do have a Christmas movie, Noel. They released a trailer for it, obviously to get that in that like family market. Again, it's got a decent budget, obviously, with it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
It looked like crap, but
the thing is though, is that like kids are gonna love it.
It's got a
families
draw, like,
are gonna love it.
Obviously, Disney have enough money now that they can throw cash at the best actors that are around, and you're gonna end up having really talented actors working with subpar material. But it's gonna draw people and it's gonna engage an audience.
I guarantee you they're gonna sit there and gonna be like, Anna Kendrick, Christmas movie, it's Disney, let's watch it. That's it, and that's all they need.
I think like even Lady and the Tramp, I think is dropping this year maybe, or is it?
I'm not sure.
But like even that looks really, like I actually think that looks really good based on the trailer they released for that, and like it's again like another kind of bit of content that they just
live action remake of a Disney classic,
but instead of going to the theater chains, they're just dropping it straight on Disney Plus.
It'll be interesting to see whether Disney can effectively create a market for themselves where they cut out a cinema experience and just create the same amount of revenue from streaming for people at home.
I'm interested to see how it goes.
And I think like the interesting part is, especially when you look at something like Netflix and they try to do their original movies, which they just drop straight on Netflix, right, and they bypass going through cinemas, but a lot of those you can just tell the quality isn't quite up to snuff with an actual film. A lot of the time,
it depends.
It depends on the film.
There are
pretty good. Like Triple Frontier was like really good quality.
Netflix. I mean, they've got The Irishman coming out.
That's true. Yeah.
At some point, is it this year?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it is this year.
And that was because no studio would give the project money. And a proper cinematic release, so Netflix are like, well,
it's going to cost a lot of money because it was using de-aging technology.
So I think that even Netflix, like, I think it's going to change the way we experience cinema. I mean, it already does. But it's going to drastically change in the next 5 or 10 years.
But I'm curious how as well, like, much they're going to like.
But it's good. I mean, I honestly think it's a good thing because, like, in a market at the moment where cinematic releases are really reliant on returns, and companies aren't willing to invest in projects that they can't see a 100% chance of them finding a return on, where maybe these streaming services have a little bit more flexibility in the way that they release movies, and we can experience them. It might be like the way we experience maybe indie cinema in the next decade. Not at the cinema, but we're going to see more and more projects getting funded.
That's for sure.
Getting the chance to be made.
Going on your point, like a lot of the films we do see going through cinemas, like your big blockbusters, they are very much safe movies. Like you couldn't argue against that, and like for that reason, because they're just trying to ensure a good return.
That's
for sure.
So it would be nice to see some sort of like creative sort of risks being taken a little bit more often.
Do you want to go through some of the other stuff that's releasing on?
Sure. I think one thing I know you wanted to talk about is
I just wanted to touch on
it's part of what Disney's sort of doing to really bring back some of their audience as well. They're kind of revitalizing, in a sense, some of their older properties, like they're bringing back, in a sense, High School Musical with High School Musical, the musical. I don't really care about it personally, but like again, for younger audiences, you know. But they're also bringing back I think the big one for people was Lizzie McGuire. They bring it back.
Yes. And I actually think that is worth mentioning, because I feel like that was kind of when Disney really had control over the live action show for like tweens and early teens. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that nostalgia is going to bring people back in force. Like,
for sure.
Massive, massive draw to the service. I watched it when I was a kid. Like,
I remember seeing it as a kid as well.
And I actually I think it holds up. Like, I watched it recently, like probably within the last 2 years, and the movie's a cult classic. Like, people our age, every single person our age has seen the Lizzie McGuire movie. So I think that they're really playing it smart by bringing that back. And I think that there's potential there as well to actually make a decent TV show.
And also Hilary Duff is like one of the only like Disney like teenage girls that had their own show that didn't get like absolutely messed up on drugs. So I think true. That they're definitely it's a good thing to bring her back for sure.
Do you think they will attempt to get back any of the original cast members, and if they do, who do you think they would be able to get back? Because like I don't know how many of them are really still acting.
I don't think that matters, to be honest. I honestly think that Disney have the money to get back whoever they want.
Because it'd be interesting to like see not only Hilary Duff, obviously she's returning, but like whether it's her brother and her family returns, and even her best friends. Like I'd love to see all of them.
I don't think that you could make it work without
the core,
without people coming back and participating.
For sure. Because it wouldn't feel like the same.
I don't think they would have announced it if they didn't already have enough people invested in returning to the show. I think that and
they're just waiting to like really reveal them, so to speak.
But I'm hoping, because I watched the Gilmore Girls revival, obviously. I don't want passing cameos from the people that were in the show, because I remember
bullshit. Jared Padalecki, and that was one of those passing cameos.
It was ridiculous. Like they used them to advertise the show, and it just it was not satisfying.
So what are you saying? Like bring them back as a main cast member, or don't bring them back at all?
No.
Okay, I agree.
Was there something else?
Should we move on to Marvel, or
we can talk about Marvel very briefly, because there was nothing shown from Marvel. But we got to see there was just news about stuff. So like they'll obviously release a bunch of shows, like in terms of like them certain control as well. Disney Plus, like in the marketplace, Marvel is their clear first kind of line of bets, I suppose, for shows, because they've got. Let's have a look. Falcon and Winter Soldier. They got WandaVision, Hawkeye, Loki, Moon Knight, which they newly announced, and also newly announced She-Hulk and Miss Marvel. I don't know what those properties are, to be honest. But that is a lot of shows.
I'm not on board.
I'm not keen for any of them. I think the only one I would probably watch is Hawkeye, because I actually liked Hawkeye's character, like especially in I think it was Avengers 2 where they kind of fleshed him out with his family.
I straight up can't do it. I can't spend that much time in the Marvel cinematic.
I think it is
absolutely
too much.
It's way too much.
I think a lot of people, out of all of them, the most excited people is for Loki, because I know a lot of people love Tom Hiddleston and they love Loki's character. So I think people are going to be looking forward to that one.
I will say actually, like they did give sort of a bit of a description to WandaVision, it sounded quite interesting what they were going to do with that show, because they said half of it's going to be like an MCU film and half of it's going to be like a sitcom. So I don't know what that's going to look like.
See, I don't care enough about those characters to
but like I'm just saying that like if they do something different enough, then maybe I'll give it a look. But like the thing is, because that's what they have to do. They really have to, what they're doing with Star Wars in terms of making each show very different in terms of genre. That's what they obviously need to do with the TV shows to make them stand apart. Because if they're all just like, hey, it's a typical MCU type of movie except in show length, then that's not going to be enough to get me in to watch them. But if they're like what they described with WandaVision, which is something a little bit different, that's got maybe like a sitcom element to it, maybe that's like different enough that you're like, okay, I'll give it a look at. And they also, there is another show they're putting on there, What If, which is an animated series. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about that.
No.
So that's been described as basically a look at an alternate timelines within the MCU. So like takes like short kind of episodes or whatnot, and then asks, instead of Steve Rogers, for instance, I think was one of the examples, instead of him becoming Captain America, what if Peggy Carter became like Captain Britain? Like that's kind of an alternate timeline, and it has different episodes that are just based around that. Like it takes an MCU plot line and puts a spin.
It sounds really gimmicky, to be honest. Like, yeah.
I don't know. I think I'll have to wait.
At the end of the day,
come out
that's not canon, right? Like they're exploring ideas that aren't canon.
It probably won't be canon, but it's just like a fun little show. Yeah,
it's like a writer's room.
Yeah.
These are the ideas that got scrapped, but we're going to make them anyways because we can squeeze some more money out of it.
Yeah, that's true. I think they could have a lot of fun with it, is what I'm saying. I think like as a show, if any of those shows sound interesting to me, that's probably what I'm the most interested in.
Yeah, look, I feel like the general problem is that, and this is not like new and exciting, it's just too formulaic. It's good versus evil.
Yeah.
Guess what? The superhero can't die because then episode 3 will not exist. So
yeah,
that's the thing. And spoilers for Avengers Endgame here, but like the characters that died in Endgame, like Vision and Black Widow, they're getting like their own. You know what I mean? They're not dead.
Films,
they're not dead because WandaVision's clearly going to include Vision, and then like doesn't matter whether Black Widow's a prequel film or whatever they do with that.
Black Widow
she's
is
still
a prequel
coming
film.
back.
It is.
She's still coming back as the
and
character.
even like
so
when
like
it's
like it's almost as if like it's a joke, like how they're just like, oh yeah, superheroes can't die, and then when they do die, and you're like, holy shit, these superheroes just die. They're just like, haha,
they're back.
We're bringing a prequel film, and like, yes, okay, they're dead. But they're still bringing them. They're still bringing that property back and you know what I mean, making a film for it. It's like,
and to your point, like even with Loki, like that's a character you showed him enough. He was in enough content.
Yeah, exactly.
Like yes, we loved him, but
he
let's
died,
move on.
and then like they obviously again in Endgame in the alternate timeline,
found a way to bring him back.
He like grabbed the Tesseract and disappeared, and it's just like now clearly they're going to make the show like expanded on that. It's like. I'm done with Loki. Like me personally, I was done with Loki's character.
Yeah, like
he had enough content. It was fine. He died. He died like in a pretty like Thanos killed him. No one expected that shit in the start. He
had
Infinity
his
War.
arc, like his character.
Yeah, like he redeemed himself by like trying to help his brother and save the stone and everything. And then they're bringing him back for a TV show. And it's just it seems like Disney's like with this Marvel franchise, like at the end of Endgame where you had the weight was there, the characters died. It's at the end of it they're just like laughing in my face, like, you thought they were dead? No, and I feel like that's just a really cheap way of doing it. So that is probably one of the reasons why I'm not invested in any of those shows at all. So
no, that's fair enough, man.
Yeah, sorry about the little rant there,
but like they really
frustrates the shit out of me. Like,
they have an unwillingness to let go, because even like with Gamora, you look at that, like it was actually a really meaningful place to kind of kill a character off.
Yeah.
But again, because they're like, they couldn't let go and they're going to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3, they bring it back, and now a storyline which we've been invested in, we've watched it kind of grow, we've now got to take so many steps back for them to develop a whole new relationship, because she's obviously going to
because that's what I'm assuming Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is going to be like, finding Gamora or something. That's probably the premise of the film, which is like not interesting at all. I don't give a shit about it.
So I'm on board with the next chapter, because like if you're starting from scratch and maybe building a
whole new set of team, like
but like new stories with and I've heard obviously that they're trying to be a little bit more out there and a little bit more different.
Yeah.
With this new chapter.
Like, Christ, look at the Eternals. They're like...
So, I'm on board for that, but I will very, very quickly lose interest and, you know, like, I'm not going to reward them with my money if it's not different enough, if that makes sense.
And I think the problem is this time is around as well. They, because with the first entire phase from, like, Iron Man through to Endgame, it was all one story arc. So you kept invested because you had started it. So you're like, I want to see where these characters go. But now they're almost like restarting from scratch. And now they've had, like, what is it, 15, 16, 17 movies, whatever it is. So now they can't rely on it being fresh and new because we've been in the MCU for so long now. They're like, they've got to really try something different and they've got to take more chances.
They do. Yeah.
Otherwise, it is just going to feel like you're going to get bored.
That was one thing that really, back to Disney Plus, that frustrates me is that I'm super keen for the Ewan McGregor series, The Mandalorian, Clone Wars Season 7. I'm keen for all that stuff. But the Marvel stuff I'm not too keen for. And if I'm going to be paying a subscription, who says that money's going to be like, I really like all the Star Wars stuff that you're producing. This is more of what I want. Yeah. But I'm also giving them money for everything that
they would probably have like watch numbers for each of their...
You reckon? Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
They'd be they'd have all that kind of...
But they're still getting money for everything.
It's irrelevant though, like, because they, at the moment, they have enough money to do whatever they want.
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they've just obviously acquired Fox and all their properties, which...
Yep.
Again,
we'll get
further...
The Simpsons. That's good.
Yeah. Further domination on the market. Like, just... Yeah. Which is kind of scary, though, to be honest.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, I'll be buying a subscription to Disney Plus on day one. So, you know, they've provided me with enough content for me to be like, yep, I'm buying in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
That's
so,
fair enough. I think I'm still on the fence at the moment. Like, the Mandalorian, the Star Wars stuff I'm really keen for, but that's the only, like...
I guess you could probably wait until all episodes of the Mandalorian are out and then buy, like, a 1 month subscription or
I think I'm just going to hold back maybe about a week after it comes out and just see what it's like because you don't know, like, you could buy in day one and then sit there and the server won't load, you know, like you could sit there and just you know, that there can be all these issues and stuff. I think I'm just going to hold off, but that's me. That's what I think.
I'll be buying in on day one.
No, that's fair enough. I can understand why, but should we wrap everything up?
I think we should probably I
was going to touch on the Cruella DeVille for like image as well they released in terms of, and just relate that into it's like last thing, but in terms of like Disney revitalizing their kind of catalog of older films, I suppose you could say.
So this is the photo of Emma Stone
as Cruella DeVille and their like origin story.
The origin story of 101 Dalmatians that we're talking about.
I think it was like just something kind of further to touch on is whether you guys think it's a good idea or not.
No,
I don't think there's enough.
It's a terrible idea.
I don't think there's enough at all to even say whether it's a good idea or not. It's literally one photo. So,
but like in general, do you think that creating an origin story for Cruella DeVille is a good idea?
It could be, man. I mean, have you watched it yet? No, you've seen one photo. So, like, I don't think there's enough to.
Have you seen
say,
101 Dalmatians? Yes, I don't think that like going out of your way to create a justified character arc for like the most evil woman.
What if they're not creating a justified character arc? What if they're showing how this person is, how she became to be so evil? You know, like
that's a justified character arc.
No, but what if it's not justified? What if she became evil through other men? You know what I mean? Like you don't know anything about this, man. You've seen a photo. That's it.
Yeah, but like again, going to the next point, the when you look at whether it is the live action 101 Dalmatians or the animated
Maleficent,
the
movie, that's what they've been doing. It's a justified character arc. It's like she's evil, but this is why she's evil.
Maleficent, I think you have enough.
You can't make a movie, especially Disney, about a woman who is inherently evil.
Yeah,
and like.
Because I'm not saying that she's not inherently evil. I'm not saying that the reason she became inherently evil is justified. I'm saying, what if they make a show that is literally about how this lady is so evil? It's not got to do with, she's evil because someone bullied her one time.
But what Nick's saying is like,
do you think that's
you could do Disney? That.
Is what I'm.
Do you know from this photo?
I mean, I'd put money on it right now if you want.
I'm just saying that I don't think there's enough information or content.
Yeah,
that's true. Even warrant. Like I I'll put this back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I went into the cinema to watch Infinity War, and I had absolutely the expectations of seeing a classic Marvel film, and came out of Infinity War completely blown away. Before I saw that film, if you'd have asked me and told me, do you reckon Disney are going to do something different? I would have said to you, blue in the face, that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't kill off those characters and that shit. You know, like...
See, I don't know, man. I disagree, and I will counter that by saying that you've just made a blanket judgment on every Marvel TV show that was just announced.
That's very true.
So
that's very true. And they didn't even get a picture; they just got a name. So okay, I understand that. All I'm saying is that it could be really shit, or it could be all right. I don't think that there's enough.
I'm always willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but when you look at Cruella de Vil, she is literally a human being that kills dogs because she likes fur, and then she wants her new coat. Yep. Like, when you look at that is in essence what her character is. As like, of all things that you could explore in terms of characters, you choose that character, and you're but like, you could go back and you could tell an interesting story, but like, do we really, like, how much do you have to change that character from what? You're just
saying this to me now, saying that she's a literal evil person that kills dogs for fur. Disney they know this.
Yeah.
They know, I guarantee you, when they decided to make this thing, they would know this. That's why I'm thinking that there's something more occurring here than just
no, but I'm saying that, like, Disney, they're clearly going to go back and do a Maleficent where they will then change her character completely to, like, be like, she's
well, if they did that, then fuck Disney. But I don't know.
That's what they did.
But that's what they honestly, that's all they can do. Because if they're going to, like, if they're going to say, oh, we're going to tell you why she gets to this point where she's someone who murders dogs, people aren't going to accept. Like, why would I want to care about someone?
I don't know. Okay, fair enough.
So they can't go down. You can't go down that route.
To defend it or anything. I just think that.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you can't go down that route, and you can, like, which means you've only got the route of, like, Maleficent, where you have to change her character in order to make her likable. You know what I mean? And
but
so, like,
if they do that, then that's...
And then you're changing, in essence...
that'll be shit. Yes, I agree. If they do it that way, yes, that'll be shit.
That's all they can do, though. Like, that's...
Is it, though, Jordan? Like,
I reckon
you don't know. You don't know
about
this.
It, yeah.
Maybe we're looking into a darker Disney where Ewan McGregor's going to be with his lightsaber and just cutting people's heads off.
Mate, we're in
Quentin Tarantino style blood split.
I doubt it. We're in, like, an era where... Because Disney's just acquired Deadpool, and there's been lots of reports. I'm not necessarily saying it's true, but there's talks where they could be looking at making it and, like, M-rated property rather than MA. That's what Disney does. Disney is like a family first thing. They don't really do dark necessarily.
Fair. That's fair.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll look at what happens closer to when it happens, I guess, with the Cruella de Vil. But
we've only got a single photo.
Generally speaking, I think that touching villains in this way is not a great idea.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to stand by that.
Yeah.
Even though there's only one photo.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Disagree to disagree.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Last thoughts on all this Disney news, Disney D23, Disney Plus.
Well, all the Star Wars news I'm happy about. The Marvel stuff I don't really care, and the other animation stuff it's kind of for me. So
there's actually a few, like, because they did announce kind of a cast for their new Pixar film Soul, and they did announce a new Disney animation film Raya and the Last Dragon, which both sound like very interesting properties. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about either.
I can probably touch on that when there's a trailer. Or
for sure. I'm just asking if you guys have heard anything.
No,
about
I haven't heard anything.
So Star Wars, I'm keen. Marvel, other stuff.
Yeah, look, I think that Disney have too much control at the moment.
Yeah.
To be honest, I feel like they're kind of just taking over and not in the best way. I'm excited for the Star Wars stuff, obviously. I'm excited to get a Disney streaming platform, I guess. I would rather have the company integrate into already existing streaming services, but I understand that they now have acquired enough to kind of host their own, but I don't like the fact that they own all of these properties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that meme of, like, the Mickey Mouse instead of Thanos, and he's got the Infinity Gauntlet.
There's less.
Fox,
all it means is less diversity in the media market.
Yeah, so everything's being streamlined to fit Disney's idea of what, like, entertainment should be, in a sense. That's what we're all starting to see, and that's the scary part is watching as this happens. Like, and because the thing is, I'm both against but also in favor, because I'm willing to support, because I'm most likely going to get a subscription for Disney Plus. to watch their new content. So I am 100% going to be supporting them.
You're buying into it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like, but you almost have no choice to, and I think they understand that we have no choice.
Yeah.
So that's like, it's a scary era to be heading into to look at. So
everyone has a choice, man. Everyone has a choice.
So you can sit at home.
There's a channel that reviews movies. Jared, you got to buy it, Dad. All right,
mate.
But yeah, you can sit at home.
Sit here and you guys are like, all right, boys, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. And I'm sitting here just,
You know what's going to happen, Jared? You can sit at home, depressed in your room, and we'll be sitting here watching The Mandalorian.
I will fondle my $9.90 in my hand, Jordan.
Enjoy it then.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this
let's wrap it up.
All right. So that is our talk on Disney and D23, and they're all the news. Lot to cover, a lot of different things to talk about. I hope we kind of covered everything to the best of our abilities.
What are we doing next? What's our next video?
Yeah, next video will be, we're talking about It. We're going to look at It Chapter 1. We're going to rewind back and talk about that, and then we're going to review It Chapter 2 this Thursday, I believe it releases. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Sounds good.
Excited.
So, very keen. Thanks for watching our video, guys.
Like and subscribe if you want. And we'll see you next time.